Bonjour, Afolake.
Hello, Anna.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Robert. Really?
It's a happy morning, isn't it?
It is indeed.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, we're going places with Afolake today.
Yes.
So
And
it's
this
nice to
morning,
smile.
yes. This morning we're doing business travel, and it has to do with the relationship between China and Africa. You know, Africa, as China is
Yeah.
more increasingly interested in Africa, so are Africans increasingly interested in China. The influence China has on Africa has made it one of its most important trading partners. And the forum, the recently concluded forum, the China-African Forum in South Africa, now has 50 members out of the 54 existing countries in Africa. I mean, the interest of China in Africa has gone beyond just political speeches. It has been manifested in the migration of China and Chinese, I beg your pardon, in Africa. I mean, it justifies the construction of the Chinese town you have in Kenya, in Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and so these other countries. I mean, this is not just one-way migration. It's also the other way around. Africans are also moving in large numbers into China, and it's been going on for the past 20 years. You could see even they moved into a place called Guangzhou, and 2 years before they started flocking into this place, it was not a known place. But once they immediately started moving in here, started bustling with activities, you see a lot of Angolans with their provision on their head. You see a lot of Somalis with their long drab dresses, and the Congolese as well.
Yeah.
They were known for the wholesale of underwears, and they had shops everywhere at every corner of China. And mostly it's basically run by the Chinese. And then you ask yourself, just like you have the American dream, does the Chinese dream really exist? Now in 2013, the Chinese actually updated their legislation governing foreigners in the countries.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time they did since 1986, and afterwards you had lots of foreigners flocking into the countries, lots of qualified contractors, a lot of traders, and of course they abused it because a lot of people then overstayed their visas, and that created a lot of problem. It's still creating a lot of problem anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a big problem for Africans to travel to China then, because people are
because
going
of
there
that,
in
it
numbers.
became more and more difficult to go into China.
right.
Back into Africa, well, in every African country, you see the made in China concept. I mean, the US itself, the US researchers have also claimed that there are over almost 3,000 Chinese development projects in various states in Africa. And earlier this year, the Chinese news agency also affirmed that over 1,000 projects of these projects have been completed. And then you ask yourself, what will be the long-term consequences of this long-term investment in Africa? I mean, good or bad. Have you noticed this time when there was this stream of Chinese products in Africa?
Everywhere.
It was alarming. And these products were not necessarily of good quality. They were just counterfeits to break, just to
Mais
break
c'est vrai que les prix font que la contrefaçon, c'est compréhensible.
It's quite understandable that Africans prefer spending less money.
This segment about travel is that we get to tell people where to go. Where I come from, back in Kenya, is we share the Lake Victoria, one of the second largest freshwater lake in the world, between Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. Now, Tanzania apparently has the biggest share. We have a very small percentage, but the biggest thing is we have freshwater fishes in Lake Victoria, and there was a crisis of fish in the country, and Chinese imported fish.
C'est pas que Kenya, hein, ailleurs aussi, ouais.
Well, on another note, while global oil prices were falling, governments of various countries concerned actually restricted access to US dollars. And, the results, people who were in Guangzhou, for example, had the consequence was really severe on them. And how did the governments do? What did they do to compensate it? The Nigerian government, for example, during the Nigerian President Buhari actually negotiated with the Chinese government so as to allow Nigerians to be able to pay in signing Chinese yuan into Nigerian banks. I won't end this segment without sharing one of the basic challenges Africans face in China, which is the racial problem. Have a look on this video.
改变只需一颗俏笔洗衣溶珠，俏笔全国招生热线400-800-5086。
Now that video stirred up a lot of controversies on the social media. Even though the company have actually apologized for that, the Chinese Foreign Ministry has also apologized and said the government, this wouldn't affect the relationship between the Chinese and the African governments. On that note, would end. Come to the end of the segment.
C'est dommage, on a pris beaucoup de temps. Mais
Yeah,
c'est vrai que cette vidéo
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Elle m'a choquée en tout cas.
But it's true that video is very short.